Welcome, CPR Sports here, Jeff Knapp. We have a fantastic guest with us today, Ken Doyle, and he is one of the best teachers in the game of golf. But if you're not a golfer, you should continue to listen to this, because over Ken's 42 years of teaching and working with different athletes, one thing that he does an amazing job is to listen and learn from all sorts of athletes, experts in their various fields, and he really brings to the table more than just teaching golf. It's really about learning about his students and how to get the most out of it, and I think that's what we're all after, is trying to figure out how to get the most out of our games and really enjoy our sports and hopefully get to the next level if that's what your goals and missions are. So Ken Doyle, the 2012 Teacher of the Year here in the state of Connecticut, is here and going to talk to us a little bit about how he really motivates and works with his players. So Ken, just to kick us off, really talk to us about what you do when you're initiating players and some of your past experiences, and how did you get into golf?
First off, Jeff, thanks very much for letting me be a part of this. I got into golf because my father wouldn't let me go sign up to pitch for the Red Sox or the Cubs. I was just taking up the game a little bit, and I wanted to pitch, and out of high school, I went to Conard, nearby here in Connecticut, and I had an offer to pitch for the Red Sox and Cubs. My father wouldn't let me do it because he wanted me to go to college, and for spite, I never played baseball again, so I started picking up golf, and in my second year in college, I won a state college championship. And I was lucky then, when I went to West Virginia, I was at this club, I needed some money, and I got this job working out at this golf course as a night watchman. Along came the new professional, who he and his wife, his name was Horace Irvin, and they informally adopted me there. And he really mentored me in enjoying the game and how to play the game and using nature and parts of the course to become better. Which to this day, it's funny how it's gone full scale, all the technology and everything else since then, and now it's back more and more to using nature and technology and more to enjoy the whole game and to enjoy the sports. Yeah. So that's how I got into teaching, and then one thing led to another, and I became the head pro out at Hot Meadow for years, but it was always a passion. I was always teaching a lot. And then like 25 years ago or so, I decided I really want to go further, and I started studying over from the best in the world, the David Ledbetters and Jim McLean's and Bill Strasbau's and all that, and great people really share. They've been so nice to me, and I've learned an awful lot from all of them, and that's just the passion, and that's what I do now, and I love sharing that too, so it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah,
that's terrific. Tell us some of your experience over the years. You've worked with all sorts of athletes, and really how you approach it and what you found successful with your students.
Well, first off, without a doubt, more now. When I first got started, I'd get right into the swing and things like this. But really, I want to know more about them, much more about them. So the first meeting is really very important. Sometimes it's two meetings. We start working on swing a little bit and all that with it, but I'm learning more about how they learn and their body type and what their goals are, what they want to achieve in their life for the amount of time they have in their life and where it falls within their priorities. I have to find all that out because that determines on how much I know that they're going to practice or how much they're going to get into this. I have to find out if it's the kind of person that's always sort of in a hurry, or if I need to give this type of person a boot in the butt or whatever it might be. And then are they analytical, or are they just a freewheeler? And it takes a while, but that's the only way I can help them the most. And then I do a whole, I test their body, their backs, their spines, their feet, and anything like that to see what kind of body type, any injuries they've had. Because they may be trying to make a certain type of swing, but they're not aware of that. Their body won't let them do that. So then what I do is I give them options. I say, well, I can help you get rid of this injury, get rid of this hip that's been bothering you. I have around me for the years of doing this, I have a great team around me, and I utilize all them in anything, and I can help them if they want to. If they don't, and they don't have time, they just want to get better, we make the swing fit that. So that's basically what I do.
Share with me, you talked to me the other day about how you measure kids and why that is important, and you shared me a little story about a boy who hit a growth pattern and how that can change somebody's athletic abilities.
When you're working with young people, especially if they're, I've been, again, over the years, somebody else's name too, but Gary Player. I learned an awful lot. I met him in 1971, and Gary Player always calls it being keen about something. I always love that. These kids, boys or girls, that want to be keen, or adults, but mostly when we're work with young people, that want to be good, they want to be keen. They want to really do it. If they're that way, then we got to look at everything, because the girls are going to go through their issues. And then the boys and girls, they go through these growth spurts. And what happens many times, you'll find boys and girls, especially boys, though, that are really good when they're 10, 11, 12. Boy, they're really coming along.
Sure.
Then all of a sudden, around 14, they start this growth spurt. They know they're growing, but they're not quite, a little bit maybe. So they then, because of their bodies changing, they start getting depressed a little bit. And they start saying, I'm not as good as I used to be. For crying out loud, this isn't there. And they start losing their cool, so to speak. And so what we have to do, what we start doing, and we tell that story about that young man, we start having them measured every week. I got this years ago in a teaching seminar, National Teaching Coaching Summit, from this great Australian coach. And he does with all their athletes, their Olympic athletes, everything, where they start measuring them weekly. So this young man, they have this, like we all had at home, where we would measure as we go along like this. And so on 3 straight weeks, he measured himself on Saturdays. 3 straight weeks, he grew 1 inch. So he grew 3 inches in 3 weeks.
Unbelievable. And
so when that's happening, now we know, all right, we're going to back off a little. Because age 15 or 16, we're going to start introducing a little more conditioning programs now. And just for that point, we'll back them down a little bit, maybe put some training in there a little bit more, and then because of that, now they can put a little strength training, get a little stronger that way, and get out of the competition a little bit until this balance is off. So it is very beneficial. So
yeah. What do you see as, everybody's looking for the right, formula, or what do you see as the right regimen if you get a kid who's 13, 14 and is really motivated to go on to the next level? What in your mind, if you had to outline, an ideal timeline or training regimen, what would that be?
Well, first it goes back to does the boy or girl really love it? Do they love it? Or are they being put in this position because the parents want them to be? If they love it, and that's part of what I have a little something I'll read in a little bit, but if they love and play and do it from the heart, that's when we start working. We start introducing a little more individual competition, going out and playing. And we have our PGA here in Connecticut runs a great junior golf tours. We start letting them start competing in tournaments because they got to get used to that. And at the same time, you start introducing a little bit more into the fundamentals, knowing that the body is changing. But at this time, they can start competing. But you have to be careful sometimes because they can go overboard. And what we try to do is find out 3 or 4 majors, just like on the tours. Maybe find 4 major tournaments that they really want to do, and then have a few that will be used as getting something to get ready, prepping for, or periodization for the majors. And then at this time, all along, if they really, really want to do this, we start working really a lot more short game. Because the body is changing. Swing's a swing. Swing really isn't, it sounds very important for the average player that wants to play the game. It's their swing, their swing, their swing. But swing is way down here when it comes to improvement of the golf and the overall personality of the young person.
Sure.
You're always trying to get and develop a good person out of this boy or girl when they're younger like that, and help the family and the parents out a little bit. And that's sort of what I've always gone by. And there's like Rafael Nadal, his uncle's always been his coach, and they knew right from the very beginning that they wanted to develop, number one, a great young man, and then a great tennis player. And to this day, he is that way.
Right.
So that's basically what I try to do. First off, develop a great young person, and then have them reach their goals.
Do you often see that from the parents, the push to do more tournaments and that focus on, that thrill of victory, and that parents get caught up in that? Do you see that as a common mistake?
It really is, and that comes, it's always in every sport, basically.
Sure.
Every sport.
Yep.
And so what starts happening, yes, in order to go, the goal being when you're doing junior golf, the parent's goal, and I'm sure the child's goal, because the parents are pushing, is to get a spot on a college golf team, if that's what they want. Yes, ideally they might say they want their child. Most kids go to school one or two ways: as a student golfer or as or athlete student. So one way or the other. And so what happens is the parents put so much pressure on these kids to perform that it forms rigidity in the athlete, in this boy or girl, in trying to play this sport because they're doing it for their parents or their coaches or somebody else.
Right.
They're not doing it for themselves.
Right.
So that's why, again, it has to be coming from their heart that they have to want to do it. And any kind of tension trying to please somebody that's out there forms this rigidity. Rigidity limits athletic motion.
Sure.
And mental.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you think is the biggest factor that you've seen over the years with kids who maybe have when you look at their swing and their abilities and all that, determines the kids who make it and the kids who don't?
Many times, Jeff, I know we've talked about this before too. I think you have to let them play other sports. You want them having fun. They will eventually eliminate some sports. Let them play 3 or 4 sports. All of a sudden, okay, they know I like these 2 because I want to go to college doing this. They might play 2 sports. They might play, soccer in one season, do something else another time. And I think it's important that they really enjoy themselves playing on team sports. Like golf's an individual sport. And yes, it's a team, but it's only as good as the 5 egos that are playing. But you really want them to do that now, when they are ready. They're really looking at the game totally different. It's fun now for them. They haven't been doing this. Some of these kids, by the time they're an age to get to college, they've already been doing it 10 or 12 or 13, 14 years. And that's a long time doing one thing. Yeah. And we see it a lot, like Michelle Wee, for example. I don't think she's having fun. Right. So those kids, when they make it, they really enjoy it. It happens in the game of golf. Larry Nelson, there's 2 golfers I can think of right now. Larry Nelson and Tom Lehman took up golf very late, and they love it. Yeah. Tom Lehman, they became great golfers. They were in their 20s almost when they really got serious about it, but they love it, and it's a passion. So, we got to really be careful. We don't push them too much when they're younger, unless they have the keenness and want to do it. So.
Yeah. And do you see the kids that are doing a lot of sports, that when they come to you, even when they're working on you on a regular basis, that they are becoming better because they're developing different muscle groups and coordination levels with
I think
the other sports?
I love this question because I think a big part of what makes a good athlete is awareness. Awareness is huge because we have to be aware of our mental state. We have to be aware of what our competitors are doing. We have to be aware of the way in golf, the way the ball is laying on the grass, the way the wind's blowing, how our body's feeling, the lie of the land, and we have to be aware of that. What happens also, when you play a multitude of sports, we become more aware of our bodies and the feelings of our bodies and where our energy's going. And I have so many people, how did that feel? I hooked it. Or I ask them, how did it feel to your body? I hooked the ball. I hit it off the toe. They don't know what their body feels like when they do something.
Right.
And we really improve when we learn to control the energy of the body. Instead of using all upper body to try to muscle the ball, we want to be aware that, okay, the lower part of the body is going to be doing a little bit more, letting the upper part very relaxed and let it fly. So that part, by playing a multitude of sports, really helps, especially kids that have done hockey's great for a lot of kids. Terrific.
Sure.
Gymnastics is terrific when they do it a little bit when they're younger.
Right.
Also, so and there's others too, but it really does help. Yeah.
What would be your advice to parents of kids in golf or tennis or whatever it might be, how they can really help be more supportive and really get their kids reaching their full potential? I mean, I'm sure over the years you've seen lots of things where you just, makes your teeth grit and you see.
Yeah. That's, I think what you have to do is, you have to have, the coach has to have a passion. So when you're bringing the student there, I mean, you want to share this with the parent that this is what I'm going to do. I want to get to know your son or daughter, and you're totally upfront with them. I really want to get to know them, and I have to do this one-on-one. So establish in the very beginning, it's going to be a one-on-one with the coach. And then what I end up doing is I know you play golf with your son or your daughter. In the last 15 minutes, come on down. You can go practice over here. You're more than welcome to play a couple holes while you're here. And while we're here, or if we go on the golf course, practice here, you're putting to the parent or whatever. If they like to do that, if not, they'll go someplace else. And I have them come about 15 minutes before the end of the lesson. And then I go over everything that we just did to just help them then. You just say, all right, I know, like Mr. Doyle said that you should have your spine tilted this way. Okay, well, you're not doing it right now. Tilt a little. I'll show them. I'll get behind the student, have them be there, have the parent be there with me, know that this is what they're supposed to do, and things like that, and that's it.
Right.
And that's what they're paying me for.
Yeah,
it's like,
sure.
It's like watching. I saw this, to interject this last night about this, one of these famous programs are on now, Redoing Your Home. All this kind of thing. There's these two designers that were on last night, and they had this client that came in, and here they're trying. He hires them to do their house, and he's telling them what to do the whole time. Okay, and now I know there's a lot of there's a lot of cameras around like we are right now, so there's some acting here, but these guys that can't do their job, he's telling them what to do.
Right.
So it's hard, and there have only been a few that I do not, without a doubt. Some parents get it, and they're there to only cheer their children on and to guide them, and that's great like that. So we need to be more cheerleaders and reinforcers and all that.
And through, obviously, when you've become very good at a sport, talk about losing and failing and how athletes can deal with that better, and more importantly, I think, their parents, because oftentimes you walk off after a tournament and the first person you're embracing is mom and dad.
Yeah.
And those are often very critical moments, and the parents, I think, also feel the pressure and aren't well prepared, and things come out of the mouth that they don't realize are maybe a little too strong or whatever it might be. So
I think this part, this is part of where I'm changing more now. I think now we can get greater results and help them be better people, young people, and us as adults too, but them being better young people, if we teach them from the very beginning that it's okay to fail, that it's part of getting stronger, and that we are all failing constantly, but we all get better because of it. And I mean, you look at like I watch. I'm lucky. I give Ray Allen golf lessons, right? So I'll look at Ray Allen. I look at the stats every game, and Ray Allen will be down there in Miami. He'll be like he had a game. Now, the last 2 games, he was like 6 for 8 in one game, 20 points, made all these 3-pointers. 0 for 5 the next game. Now, is he a bum and all that? No, that was his best.
Right.
You know, it's losing has to be taught in the very beginning. It's okay. You can't be coddled all the time, telling you're great, 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 and you're going to only succeed is the only way you're going to get better. And the sooner they understand that, the better. And I read everything. There was a great article in, I think it was Inside Triathlon a little while ago. It was the final article on the back of the page. And they just had the Iron Man, and this issue was out, and it was a back page thing. And I believe it was Chris McCormick, goes by Mako, was talking about, he was very dejected. He lives in Kona now because he loves the Iron Man so much. And he was sitting down in the house, and later in the day, and felt bad. He had just come in 12th. He thought he was so prepared. He's won it a couple times, and a couple times recently, and everything else like that. He's one of the best in the world. And he's sitting there dejected, and his 8-year-old daughter comes up to him and says to him, "Daddy, what's wrong?" And he goes, "I don't know. I gave it everything. I just didn't have it today. I just didn't play good. I don't know what went wrong," and everything else. I said, "Well, Daddy, you tried your best." And he goes, "Yes." And she says to him, now 8 years old, says to him, "Well, maybe today your best wasn't your best." He says, "Maybe tomorrow your best will be better." And he looks at her, and he goes, "Where did you hear that?" She goes, "From you." All right?
Right.
And he sits back, and then all of a sudden, it dawned on him that's what his parents told him, that exact same thing.
Right. Isn't that
All right?
interesting?
And this was like last week that I read this thing. I've already told that story probably because I love it. I love it, and it's so true. Here he is now learning from an 8-year-old, helping him handle this.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's really hard. We have it in business all the time.
Yeah.
Failing and coming. We do learn more from failure than we always succeeding. And one more thing. Gary Player, in an interview one time with John Huggins, I was sitting next to him at Lyman Orchard over there. And John Huggins asked him, a great writer, a British writer, and he said to him, "What makes a champion?" And Gary Player said to him, "Well, anybody can handle the great times. The champions handle the tough times the best."
Sure.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's terrific. Share. You have a couple things you wanted to share.
This is basically and sort of what we've been talking about. I have a couple things that I put down here that I decided to write down sort of where I'm coming from in just a paragraph or so, and then I have a little something that I give the students, and they put it in their phones now, and they play it back on their way to the course. But basically, the first part is, and my feelings and my beliefs for a better athlete or better student is, always remember to play because you love it, always from the heart, and learn from your experiences. Face your fears. Don't be afraid to fail. Work on your weaknesses and keep your mind and body relaxed. And then this little bit down here is dealing with mistakes and dealing with failure. And this is what they're putting now is I give them copies of this, and they put it on their phone when they're driving to the golf course, or you can drive it any place. "I'll make my mistakes fearlessly and aggressively. I'm not playing it safe, holding back, or looking for excuses. I'm going for it. I'll accept whatever happens and move on. I don't fear mistakes. I learn from them."
Yeah.
All right, and it seems like more and more the theme in what we're talking about here is you want to get better, but you have to learn to fail first to get better.
Yeah.
And then you can really get better. If you're always under the gun to be good, and trying to please people, and not yourself. If you're pleasing yourself, you're going to do fine. So that's what I go by. Just
That's
love
great.
what you do.
Yeah. That's what matters. And if you love what you do, you'll be successful.
Right.
And if your best gets you here or here,
Right.
that's really what matters.
Yeah,
and
sure
you can go to bed and sleep well and feel good about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ken. This
Thanks,
has
Jeff.
been excellent.
Very good. Thank you.